We'll shift our focus over to the livestock markets now on Wednesday afternoon. I had the chance to catch up with DTN livestock analyst ShayLe Stewart. On Wednesday, the live cattle were trending higher. We began the conversation by reviewing the factors that were driving the price for cattle a bit higher.
You know, it's interesting. The cattle market has not really chosen to trend with its seasonalities like it has over, in years past. 2020 was nothing seasonal, 2021 was nothing seasonal, and 2022 is opting to do nothing seasonal as well. But thankfully, we've really picked up a stronger tone in the marketplace. And as we trudge through now the second half of the year, we're seeing phenomenal feeder cattle demand. We're not seeing very good interest on the live cattle market side of things, but that comes with the dog days of summer. So thankfully, as buyers look at this marketplace and they realize and they understand that there's going to be significantly fewer calves come later this year in the market simply because of the aggressive beef cow slaughter that we've seen over the past year in the marketplace. They are being aggressive buyers, and by aggressive, I truly do mean everything of the word. And so we've seen phenomenal demand throughout the countryside, and we've seen excellent demand in these early video sales. Whether you opted to look at Superior, Western, or Northern, all the sales have seen tremendous support and really interest all across the board. Whether you're looking at getting some lightweight calves or those heavier weighted feeder cattle, the demand has been excellent. So nevertheless, I'm very excited to see it. And even with corn trending higher than what it has in years past, it's not seeming to push buyers away from the marketplace.
ShayLe, I wanted to ask you about those video auctions. I'm guessing you had a chance to watch those. What can you tell us about the prices that buyers are willing to pay?
Honestly, Bryce, I was really worried about how some of those video auctions were going to fare just simply because of freight. When you sell on those auctions, freight is a big component simply because those cattle are trickled all throughout the countryside. And while some regions that are remote, saw a little bit of a ding just simply because of transportating costs, realistically, buyers just flock to those sales. And whether I did some math and I did some comparisons of Superior's Corn Belt Classic to the week in the Rockies, and the prices were just phenomenal. Early in the year when we saw that first sale of Superior's, the Corn Belt Classic come out, everyone's jaw just dropped in disbelief of how good the market was. And then come the week in the Rockies sale, the demand was still exceptionally strong. Northern is having their sale this week, and one stick out sale that they had was some 970-pound steer calves brought $2.02. And so it's always fun to kind of note those highlights of the sales. And honestly, the interest was just tremendous throughout all categories, all prices, and they were significantly higher in some categories than even the previous sales that they had earlier this year.
ShayLe, it seems like those prices have been good, but quite frankly, times are tough for some cattle producers. I think a lot of our viewers probably had the chance to see some pictures, perhaps on social media, of a mile or two worth of people lining up to sell their livestock down in the state of Texas just because of these drought conditions. What can you tell us, kind of a preview to the cattle inventory report, which we'll talk more about here in a second, but there are some producers out there facing some pretty significant challenges due to drought, right?
You're absolutely right, Bryce. I'm guessing by now everyone has seen those images or those videos on social media, like you mentioned, and they're just gut wrenching. Up here in the north, we've been plagued with drought too, and it's trickled throughout the west. And so it's nothing that cattle producers aren't very aware of. And so now, as our friends in the south are grappling with the same challenges, my heart just plummets for them, and so does everyone else, because the cattle market's tough. We know that the cycle runs in an 8 to 10 year swing, and it seems like the seasons of famine are far greater than the seasons of feasting. And so as we look at this market and try to understand how to move forward, I think that we first need to sympathize with those folks who really don't have the opportunity to really hone in on the market's fundamental and technical whims and really soak into that information. They just simply have to make decisions based on drought and drought alone. So first and foremost, our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to those individuals who are plagued with that situation right now.
Last time you and I had the chance to visit ShayLe, it was at the Cattle Industry Convention, and we had a cattle inventory report, which everybody was digesting and a bit celebrating because they thought because of that January report, we'd see some higher prices moving forward. What are you hearing for a preview and predictions? That report's going to be coming out on Friday. What are you hearing for estimations?
Friday's report is going to be highly sought after. And And Bryce, there is no way, there is absolutely no way that this report is not bullish for our industry. If it's not bullish, I would tend to believe that the USDA maybe didn't quite get the numbers as they needed to be presented. Because, and you know what, to be fair and to be honest to those folks at the USDA, I would not want their job. It is very hard. So not poking any jabs at them, but given what we know about our beef cow slaughter, as of the early data that was presented towards the beginning of July, that's just the most current data that we have for the market. We've already processed over 2 million head of beef cows here in the United States thus far in 2022. And I just want folks to realize that there's only been 2 weeks in 2022 where beef cow processing has dropped below 70,000 head. And there has already been 3 weeks in 2022 where we've exceeded processing more than 80,000 head of beef cows in a single week. Never in 2021 did they ever exceed 80,000 head of beef cows being processed in a week's time. So as we look at those numbers, as we look at that data, and as we understand how that's pulling on our beef cow supplies, on our beef cow industry, on truly the factory of the cattle market, I'm sorry, but there is no way that this report isn't bullish in the sheer factor of understanding that it shifts the market, it shifts the cycle, and it really puts the power back into the hands of cow-calf producers moving into 2023.